You're literally Frodo right now.
He's the hero. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gollum's Gamers, where today, following a crazy week indeed of leaks and then more leaks and emergency podcasts, and now it seems that some creators were sent the book early and were allowed to start making videos on all of the scenarios, the armies and everything. I don't know why the creators who actually cover the match play side of MESBG in detail weren't sent the match play guide instead, but that's neither here nor there. But yes,
you're not bit today.
Ali and I are going to be discussing all of the new singles scenarios coming to the new match play guide. Personally, I'd say as far as the new edition and everything goes, I was a little bit more excited to see all of these new scenarios, I must say, than the actual armies themselves, as the scenarios are the things we're actually playing in all of our games. So exciting stuff indeed. But let's jump into things. But first of all, as always, you can find us on Instagram and Spotify by following the links in the description down below. And if you do enjoy all the MESBG content that we make, please do remember to subscribe to us here on YouTube. It's roughly 60% of everyone watching isn't actually subscribed. So please do, if you enjoy everything that we do here on the channel. So, kicking things off then, we are going to be talking about a small section in the book called Common Scenario Rules. So, kind of under each scenario, there's like a special rules sort of section, and it will list any of these that are relevant to that scenario. So, for example, the first one is Maelstrom. So, it lists in this section the Maelstrom rules. So, rather than having the Maelstrom on a 1, it's this, on a 2, it's that. In each Maelstrom scenario on the page, they've just moved it into this one sort of joint section. So I think that's a very positive change. But there's other new sort of special rules for the scenarios as well. Some of them are things that we've seen before. So one of them is the Heirloom of Power. So it's just describing how it works when you pick up a heirloom in Heirlooms. But then this is also used in another scenario as well. So it's just trying to save space, I guess, and things. Uncovering artifacts is another one. So that's like if you're trying to dig up something in like Seize the Prize. Are there any other ones that come to mind like that?
You've had there are quite a few, although one
because there's new ones that have had.
Yeah, I just can't remember half the name of them.
We will go through them. So anyway, there's one about uncovering artifacts, heirlooms, so sort of the same thing. We have Dark of Night, which is basically saying that it's like the Clash Knight rules, where with the shooting and magic and things within 12 inches, and it's +1 to wound for shooting. So if you see a scenario and it says Dark of Night, that is what applies. And then we have A Time of Heroes, which is basically that which scenario was this in previously?
It was Contest
Lords?
of Champions and Lords, I think, had
And
a
Lords.
variation.
But were
of
they
it.
slightly? Yeah, I thought they were slightly. I think maybe they were
So
slightly
contest
different.
it had to be your
Your
leader.
leader, where in
And
Lords it
then-
was a hero involved in the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this version, A Time of Heroes, is each time your army kills an enemy hero in a fight, one of your heroes in the same fight. So
No,
it's that version.
it's just one of your heroes, I'm pretty sure. So you at the start again, you select one of your heroes, and I think they get it.
Each time your army kills an enemy hero in a fight, you may choose one of your hero models in the same fight. The chosen hero regains a point of might. Yeah.
Maybe I misread that bit.
Yeah.
Because we're reading leaks, some of the pages are a bit flurby.
Well, these aren't leaks. No. That's why I had my sort of thing at the start about that certain creators were sent the,
I say leaks. We're reading them from other people's videos.
Yes, it's not a book in hand sort of situation. No, so so those are the common scenario rules. So I like that they put that in. I guess it's a little bit stupid to have the Maelstrom thing on every single page that is Maelstrom. So
one interesting thing: the uncovering artifacts is an intelligence test.
I hadn't noticed that.
So it's not a 4+ or whatever, or a 6. It is a intelligence test. So smart models will do better than stupid models, basically.
That's interesting. That is different. So it's not just so that was the one previously that was a 4+, yeah.
Yeah, so like Seize the Prize sort of thing is now an intelligence test.
Cheeky buggers.
And
well, everyone was complaining how intelligence didn't really have any use, and rather intelligently, GW has put this in there. So,
and then Heirloom of Power It's basically Heirlooms, but because Heirlooms has changed, which we'll get onto later,
Yeah.
it is you can only hold one if you're a warrior, but heroes can
Oh
hold multiple.
yes.
Is also a
Yes. Yes. Yes.
interesting thing to note. Along
It
with
is.
on the dice roll of a one, you're transfixed like you were
Yeah,
last
that still
edition.
applies. Yeah, so I think that's about it. Yeah, for this. Cool. So we shall move on to looking at the first of these scenarios. So we're not going to obviously talk about the first 6 in the match play guide because they are the ones from the standard rulebook. So we're on to scenario 7 and scenario 8 on a double page spread here. We have capture and control first of all. So has much changed in this scenario?
No, not really.
Not really.
So from what I can tell, other than the victory points changing, which we can go on to in a minute, it is pretty much exactly as it was.
Yep.
So on a dice roll of a 1 to 3, you have to deploy in the front 12 inches from the center line. So
Yep.
and then 4, 5, 6 anywhere in your board
Go anywhere.
half. The objectives are laid out the same. Random game ends still on a 1 or a 2. And then essentially each objective marker, instead of being worth 2 VPs, like I think it was last edition, now is
Yeah.
worth 3. And you get 1/3 points for wounding or killing the general, and 1/2 for being broken and or unbroken. And then you control the objectives in the same way as last edition. So it's pretty much exactly the same. It's just the scaling of the points has gone up. Because I think last edition it was just 1 for leader and break, and then
yes, it was all about the objectives. And I did sort of like those scenarios where it was only 1 for breaking and there was nothing for unbroken, and it was only 1 for a wound and nothing for killing, and it was all about the objectives. I think I'm not sure if there's any of those scenarios anymore now, with the fact that they've had to find more VPs, so they've sort of had to put in those extra conditions for more VPs wherever they sort of can to get it up to 20.
One interesting thing to highlight in this scenario, it's kind of an objective scenario. However, your dominant does not really make any difference because it's just about being in base contact.
Flipping.
So your monsters or your eagles and stuff may actually struggle like they used to in the old edition in this particular hold objective scenario compared to, say, domination, which we've been playing for the last 6 months.
Yes, indeed. But I think that's about it for capture and control. So not too much has changed there. So we shall move on to breakthrough, one of my personal favourite scenarios.
I really like this one as well. I know people didn't like it, but I really liked
love it. We did a scenario tier list many moons ago that the long-time viewers may remember, where I wrote the name of each scenario on a cursed little piece of paper and then took pictures of them and ported them to the tier list, which was very lemon. But we may have to do another one with all these new scenarios at some point. But yes, breakthrough. So in terms of changes here, Ali, what do you have?
So I'm trying to remember what last breakthrough was.
Feels
like ages ago. So the general concept stays the same. So 24-inch deployment, objectives are deployed the same as last edition. Game ends on 25%. You still score like 1 victory point for holding your home objective, and then sort of it's then 3 victory points for what was it? And then it's 1 for a side and 3 if there's no enemies within 3 inches of that objective, and then it's 3 and 5 if you're capturing what I call the opponent's home objective. So I think it was 1 for the home, 1 and 2 for the sides. I may be wrong.
Yeah, and then 2 and 4. Yeah, for the
So they've gone up slightly as the side and the enemy objectives. Still worth noting, it's if there is no enemy, it's not double. So like if your enemy has 1 model within it, you're not going to get
they will
the extra VPs, which even I kept on forgetting last edition. Then you've got leader and break are both 1/2 for the sort of usual things. You now have a 2 if the banner is alive in this sort of scenario, which was not a thing previously. So it is another banner scenario, but
I'll come on to that in a moment.
Yeah, it's not a 4-point banner scenario, and it's 2 for having a banner alive.
Okay.
And then it's 1/2 for killing the. This is a new rule, by the way, for killing the highest value non-general model on the list. So this is going to pop up a couple of times, but it seems to be a new one that they've introduced at points to make it up to 20.
Let's put that one to the side and let's talk about banner VPs. What is going on? Why are there 9 of the 9 of the 24 new scenarios have banner VPs?
It's got to work out ways to like.
But why is that the way?
Historically, from a sort of like, I guess, army general standpoint, it makes sense that banners are important because they're like a rallying point and all of that stuff.
That's fine.
It's more of the, I guess, armies not all have access to a banner.
Yes, that's the problem, right? And I just,
which arguably I'd say is less an issue with the scenarios, more an issue with the fact that GW have insisted on the models must be available. And if your army, like Thranduil's Hall, didn't have a banner model made, then you don't have access to it.
But if that is the problem, then they can't then go, oh yeah, let's increase the amount of scenarios that have banner VPs. There were 3 of the 18 in the last edition, and now there is 9 of 24. So last edition, there were 17% of the scenarios were banner scenarios, and it's doubled. It's 38% of the scenarios in this new book, in the new edition, are banner scenarios. That's almost 50%, Ali. It's terrible.
I haven't done it. I'll be interested to see how they distribute over the pools. But I've said it before. I don't think it's as big a disadvantage as people think. When it's only, especially when it's only the 2 points for a banner.
So there's this thing they've done. So not all of the scenarios have the 4 VP swing, where there's the 2 separate conditions, but they're 2 VPs each. So it's a 4 VP swing. Some of them, like this one, only have the 2. So maybe that's the way they've slightly, but there are 9 scenarios with the banner VPs in.
And some scenarios you're not missing out on VPs if you kill your enemy banner. So it's based on if your opponent has a banner. So I don't think it's as bad as in the sense we've had in the last sort of few months, where we've had 6 scenarios and 2 of them were 4 VP banners and 1 was
3 of them.
2.
But that's all.
2 were 4 VPs and 1 was just 2 VPs.
Sure. So what? That's 50% of the scenarios. So with the release of 18 new scenarios, the amount has only gone down by 10%. That's terrible.
Well, 13%, but I still think actually 12%. I don't know. I think it's only 1 more of these is a 4 VP banner swing.
I thought there was quite a few. I thought there was still quite a few.
No, most of them, as we go through, it tends to only be 2 VP.
I guess maybe it's like roughly half and half with because there's the ones from the previous 6 as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a nuisance, but I don't think it prohibits armies which don't have banners. I think.
Let us know if you like banner VPs in the comments, folks. I wonder how that's going to go.
Yeah, because generally they only count as 10% worth of your points in a scenario. The majority of these.
But it's not. But it's about the VPs. It's
but if it's only worth 2, we've gone through nearly every single objective is worth more than a banner.
There are more. I do get it, but it can just still maybe promote the situations where someone is going to sit there and not do things at certain points in time. It really hinders the armies that can't take them.
I think it's been overblown a bit. It's annoying, and you would still take a banner if you could, but I don't think it rules armies out of being competitive.
It doesn't. I wish it didn't exist, and the fact that like if it had gone up to 6, that's fine. That's fine. But like 9. Come on. Anyway, stake a claim. Brand new scenario here. So I guess high level sort of overview on this one. So it's 24-inch deployment. Sorry, no, it's 12-inch deployment.
Oh, God, you got the first bit wrong.
You wrote Ali King wrote 12 in his. Oh no, it's because I'm reading.
Yes, thank you for confirming to all the viewers I got it right.
It's because I'm reading Breakthrough still. I didn't scroll down. Stake a claim is 12-inch deployment, which is another sort of side topic about this match play guide to talk about. But anyway, so the deployment for the objectives is the same as in capture and control, where they're in like the diamond sort of shape. It's a 25% end game condition, and kind of this one is there's lots of scenarios, if they call them that, in like 40k and Age of Sigmar, which are like this, where you kind of track how many points you have at the end of a turn, and then you kind of add them up throughout the game, and then whoever has more at the end gets a load of VPs in this case. So I did wonder if they were ever going to do something like this. So they're called fortification points, so you track them during the game. So it's if you have is it more models within 3 inches?
So so you score fortification points for each objective mark you control at the end phase of a turn. So you score 1 point for having more models than your opponents, and 2 for if your opponent has no enemy models within range, and you do.
And you keep track throughout the turns. So and then it's 1 and 3 for leader, wounded, kill. 1 and 3 for break, unbroken, and then 2 VPs for controlling the most objective markers at the end of the game. So what do you think on this one? Our first brand new scenario.
I think this is going to be one of the most interesting ones to see how it plays out, just how people apply tactics to it. Because it would probably favour, like most objective sort of scenarios, horde armies. But there's also a situation where you could, in theory, with an elite or monster army, just sit on 3 objectives and just control them and rack up points throughout the game. And like let the horde wash over you, as it were. But no, I find this one really interesting, how it's going to go.
I like that there's another one of these ones where you've got a lot of objectives in quite a small space. I like the capture control setup. I guess I don't like 12-inch deployment as much, but if you had 24-inch deployment, it'd be too much like capture control. So,
the 12-inch deployment though, and this one's not that bad. Not that I actually mind it generally, but because the shooting army will only be able to control 1 objective if it just stands back and shoots, and you cannot afford to let your opponent move up onto 4 objectives.
No, for sure.
Because if you do that by the second turn of the game, there'll be streaks ahead. So this is actually a very good anti-shooting meta kind of list. Like,
well, since you just touched on how you don't mind too much, let's go into another little side rant quickly about why are there so many. Not why there's so many, but why there's so few 24-inch deployment scenarios. Where have they all gone?
I don't
More
know.
stats. Only 4 of the 24 scenarios are 24-inch deployment.
Do you mean
why is
4 of the new 18?
4 of the 24.
Really? So
yes,
I haven't
that is
really,
correct. I have Ali. So and so
when you consider 6 of them are heirlooms, how many 24-inch deployment ones have we got at the moment?
So there are only 1, which is domination.
And then and they're not actually that spread throughout the pools.
So there are essentially 4 different types of deployment. You've got 12-inch, you've got 24, you've got Maelstrom, and you've got like the corners. So there's Divide and Conquer, Storm the Camp, and there's another corners sort of one. So you've got 4.
Remember, so capture control is kind of 24 inches because you're forced to deploy in the front 12.
I think I counted that. I think I counted that as one of the 4. Because everyone can just go on the 24
there's definitely 5
and always
total,
does. Is there? I thought. Anyway, we're going with 4. So why there? I like 24-inch deployment scenarios because you're straight into it. Sometimes you just want to deploy, in front of your opponent's army and have a fight.
Actually, just to throw your 4 out the window, because I can look at it on my little note sheet. Technically,
Ali.
capture control, breakthrough, laws of battle, assassinations, and contests of champions can all be 24-inch deployment.
I reject that take.
so some of them requires you to roll a 4 to 6 to deploy in the front half. some of them require you to do that in the back half.
But there are still only 4 24-inch deployment. That is the narrative that I'm sticking with. That's the narrative I will build for the new match play guide. Bring back 24-inch deployment scenarios. R.I.P.
Yep.
Anyway.
No. What's your issue with it, though?
I just... it isn't that I think there's always things really bad with 12-inch deployment scenarios, other than that sometimes if you're getting outshot shit, that can promote maybe not the best game experience.
To bring it back to Stake the Claim,
in some
it
cases,
actually creates...
which is fine.
This scenario is better at being 12 inches.
That's fine. But I think it's more the lack of scenarios where you are immediately in front of your opponent and you're kicking the shit out of each other. So you like to skip the movement phase of the game. Yeah, but
because you're not very good at it.
Not all the time. I just like an even split, right? We have 4 different types of deployment, so why not have 6 of each? That's my quibble with it.
Because we don't exactly have 4 different types of deployment.
Well,
there's variations within each.
That's how I've decided to categorize it.
Okay. Well, all I'm going to say is back in the day, 12 inches was the standard for everything, and 24 was the special, odd, random one.
We all know 12 inches is not the standard, though, don't we, Ali?
But you want 24 to be. Anyway,
I do.
Back to Stake a Claim. I
think we've gone through it. It's kind of capture control.
Just to do a quick re-summary as we went off the big tangent. So it's 4, 8, 12 for having more fortification points, double or triple than your opponent. 1 free for leader, 1 free for break, 2 for controlling most objectives at the end of the game. I really like this as a new concept for an objective scenario. Very interested to see how it will play out.
Yes.
I could see it becoming my favourite in this pool, depending.
Interesting.
This is obviously without having played it. But
Well, that segues us very nicely into talking about the pools. Those first 3 scenarios, along with domination, make up the hold objectives scenario pool. So those 3 were in one pool last edition, and I've just had Stake a Claim added in.
Yeah. I think most people have always said this is kind of like the default pool, if that makes sense, in terms of if you want to test the balance of an army, play hold objectives. And I think that's still
kind of... Do you like that pool?
Yeah.
Sure. It's a solid one.
It'd be interesting. Historically, though, it did tend to favour horde slightly, just because objectives do. With dominant now being a thing, and the way Stake a Claim may slightly change that, I think it may be a bit more balanced than it used to be across non-horde armies, although more models can still obviously help. But
Of course. This does fit very nicely along with the other 3. So there we go. It's the first pool. So we shall move on to the first scenario of the second pool, which is Lords of Battle. So I don't believe too much has changed here as well. This is one of the 4 24-inch deployment scenarios. It has a random game end. You still track the wound tally as you did previously. So it includes hate points and all that sort of thing. The VPs for that are 4, 8, and 12 if you have more, double or triple the wound tally. It's 1 and 3 again for leader, wound or kill. 1 and 3 again for break and unbroken. And then killing enemy heroes gives 1 VP up to a maximum of 2. So is that the same rules we had in the previous scenario, just in this one?
No. So this one's different. So the other one was...
the other one was about...
killing the second highest value hero.
Yes, heroic tier.
This one is just for every enemy hero you do kill.
It's 1 VP up
you
to
get
2.
1 VP up to a maximum of 2. Again, it's a bit annoying as a mechanic because you're at a disadvantage. Your opponent only has 1 hero.
Yeah.
There are lists out there like that, so like Eagles, for example.
Or if it's like bears, and it's like, oh, your second hero is Grimbion. Oh, okay.
I mean, even then, at least it's more the fact that you can't max VPs on the scenario through no fault of your own, but because your opponent's taken a single hero.
Almost like banner VPs. Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. I would say this one's more annoying though, because at least banners you go in making the conscious choice. Like, as in you've built a list and taken an army knowing you're at this point. This you could just end up
It's when you turn
facing
up to the
someone.
table and it's.
Yeah,
I will
I think
accept that argument.
Yeah, I think it should be on these ones because it comes up a couple of times where if they've got less than that, and if you've killed all the enemy heroes, you're automatically assumed to max the VPs on it.
Yes, that would make sense.
So,
And then finally, we have the first of the special rules from the common special rules section, a time for heroes. So that's the same as it was previously. This was in Lords of Battle previously as well. So nothing's changed in this scenario other than the VPs.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't
no
think
real comments.
Too
I
much
always
time
quite
on it.
like Lords of Battle. Lords of Battle? Lords of Battle.
Lords of Bottles.
Yeah.
We are, yes, I like Lords as well. It's 24 inches. So if this one comes up and you enjoy 24-inch deployment scenarios, enjoy it while it's here. We'll leave it there. We'll move on to the second scenario from this poll, which is Assassination. My favourite scenario. As a long time,
I did not like it
viewers,
last edition.
but there is, I'm sort of historically known for being very bad at Assassination, so that's sort of, yeah. But Assassination.
Which scenarios are you historically known as being good at?
I'm not sure there's quite as extensive a list as there is for ones which I'm known for being bad at. But let us know if there's has there been a bat rep where I've excelled in a particular scenario. I don't know. Most likely not. So Assassination. Ali, my computer's freezing. So can you run through it for us, please?
So yeah, Assassination. So it's another 24-inch deployment.
Yes.
Random
Back to
game
back.
end. Still the general idea that you choose a target and an assassin at the start of the game who can't be your general.
That's the part I struggled with sometimes.
What, remembering to choose?
No, just choosing the wrong thing.
And then you get 3 victory points if you wound your target, 6 if you kill your target, 12 if you kill the target with the assassin.
Sheesh.
So it's still very heavily like if you can
I
get
think
your
that was
assassin to kill
7
them.
before, I think.
Yeah. But it's still over the 50% mark. So if you do that, you've got over 50%
it's just
of your
over
points in the game.
50% previously as well. Yeah, so with 7.
You get 1/3 for the leader, 1/3 for break. You get 1 now if your assassin is alive at the end of the game, and 1 if your so the target your opponent has chosen is also still alive. And then the other main change of difference, which I actually quite like because I think it makes sense theme, is that you play in the dark of night. So you've got the night fighting rules in play. So
I hadn't thought of how
over
it
12
does,
inches.
yes,
stuff
it
like
does
that.
thematically make sense. I guess you would try to assassinate someone in the depths of night, I would assume.
Yeah.
So I like
So
that.
in one sense, it's largely stayed the same. Although I like this more now because it's expanded a bit more the things that you're playing for. Because my issue with Assassination always used to be you kind of just had one main objective. Which is still is a bit like that, but you got some other like ways
you can
to
get
rack
VPs in
up
some other
VPs,
areas.
Which just gives it a bit more points of intrigue for me. But the Dark of Night also means that you could like I know last edition a few times you just have the target just get shot off the board, like round 1 or something like that. Whereas this shouldn't really happen now. You could keep your heroes safe if you want to, but then that may put you disadvantages other ways. So I think it's gotten slightly better. Some people already really liked it. I wasn't a fan of it. I'm now
I think
more
having
of a fan than I was.
The changes to the Dark Knight for sure is a positive, I think, for the scenario. Just gives it a bit of a twist. Like obviously, I guess we don't want to see all of the previous scenarios we had be exactly the same. So to see this one changed in this way, I don't think has taken away from anything from the scenario. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think it's a positive change. So we shall move on to Contest of Champions. Is this City of Kings 2024? I'm
slightly
confused.
but changed.
Slightly but changed.
There's quite a we'll come to it in a minute, but so I think Contest of Champions is arguably, other than maybe Heirlooms, the most divisive scenario we used to have. I think it's been fixed because they've learned lessons from me. No, because
City of Kings.
But we'll give a quick rundown then. So again, your deployment is like it was last edition with your champion warband deploys within. Well, the champion deploys within 3 inches of the center, and the warband within 6 of him. Your champion no longer has to be your leader. You can nominate. So, Rejoice, Lothlorien players, you no longer have to have Gladriel
Yes.
going around and slap people, or Lake Town
Hmm.
players with the Master of Lake Town.
Hmm.
So that I think that's the change that everyone was asking and looking for, and they have got it.
They've delivered.
Then in terms of deployment, on a 1 to 3 now, you must deploy within 12 inches of your board edge, which is a change.
That's a big
And then on a
change.
4 to 6, you can deploy within 24. So whereas last
So,
time it was everyone just deployed in the middle, now there's a
yeah.
chance that your army will be split
I
up.
mean, what if you have 4 warbands, your champion goes down, and then
Yeah.
you roll a 2 on all 3 of your other warbands?
Then you
That
better
does
hope you've
suck.
got Heroic March.
Well, that reeks. I'm not gonna. What if your leader's your marcher, or your champion? What if you've got
Well,
Thorin?
these are then things that you need to take into account when you're building
Well,
lists.
it is
So you
hard to do
still
that
may
though with
want
24 scenarios, but
you
yeah,
still may
I get what you're
want
saying.
to, for example, have your leader warband or your champion warband be maxed out. So
Yes.
so you've got 15, 18 models, whatever you can fit in that warband. So
Yes.
if you are unlucky, you have the model count there to
You saying
survive.
Heroes of Fortitude aren't very good leaders? What about Narzug from the previous edition?
It's not leaders, it's champions. Remember now.
Oh yeah, I guess he wouldn't be a champion
Yeah.
now, would he?
So that would be a disadvantage going, oh cool, I
Fimbul's
can
still a
have
hero of Fortitude.
like
Sorry.
say I could have Gloin as my champion because he's really killy.
Mm.
However, he's only a hero of fortitude, so he can only take 12 models. So I may actually be like, you know what, I'm still better off having Thorin.
Mm. But then your
Um,
march isn't there, Ali. See, decisions.
well, it is inevitably claimed because everyone gets March.
He's found a loophole, the slippery fish.
But
I don't like it too much, I must say. Like, sure, that's not always going to happen, but that could happen in an important game, and you're like, fuck, and it's all from the first like 2 rolls of the game. It's sort of like Maelstrom, I guess. In
yeah,
a way.
the,
I
the,
don't know.
it's one of those ones where you can get screwed by luck, but also in the list building, you can sort of plan for it. It
In
is
a way,
interesting
but
as well. I think, yeah, you going into a tournament, you can decide at the start of that game once you know what you're facing, who's going to be your champion. So,
Mm.
say you're facing magic, you may be like, oh, I'll put this guy in because he's got magic resistance. Whereas if you weren't, you may be like, oh, it doesn't really matter. I can put
Yeah.
the other person in who's maybe slightly better in other ways.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so back to the actual VP. So it's 4, 8, 12 for VPs. You get an additional 2 if your champion kills the opposing champion. 1 and 3 for broken, 1 and 3 for a leader. And then in terms of special rules, you get the time of heroes. So there might, if you kill an enemy hero back. And also the most interesting new addition, along with nominating a hero, is stand and fight. So if your hero is behind on the kill tally, your champion can call heroic move for free that turn.
Yes. Which is very nice.
So there is situations where actually I'm trying to think, like there's probably ways where you're like, you may actually want to be 1 kill behind going into a turn.
So when I first read it, I thought it said that if you are ahead on kills, because I thought it was going to promote people to go for, to always be going for kills with their champion. But as you've just said, you might not want to have the most amount of kills. So
I think genuinely, because there's so many points on the kill tally available, you will want to be ahead. But it means that your opponent always has a method of chasing back. Because I think part of the problem always used to be is, like if you get behind on kills and then your opponent is constantly moving first or like manages to, it's impossible to catch up. Whereas if you're behind on kills, you do have something to enable you to claw it back. Which is interesting. Whether like you'll be able to control it so much or whether you just want to like go as far ahead as possible. But it means, I guess, where a hero would be able to, if he's charging, can charge 2. If he's not charging, he'll only be able to charge 1. If you're close, you'll always be sort of alternating between that. But I think it could have a big impact towards the end of the game.
Yeah, for sure it will. Yeah, free move. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So again, I like that obviously they've had a bit of more of an overhaul with this one in terms of that you can pick who your champion's going to be. But again, this is another rule they've added into an existing scenario that I think changes it in a very interesting way. So it's a big thumbs up from me.
Yeah,
so
I think it's got better as well.
Yeah, that rounds off the kill the enemy pool 2, which To the Death is in as well. So To the Death, Lords, and Assassination, and Contest. Oh, so there's not one of the new scenarios. Oh,
No,
I thought each pool had one new scenario. Okay.
So it's a fairly familiar pool. I'm quite looking forward to playing new Contest.
Yeah, same. I loved it at Heat of Kings because my Ratabi managed to do 24 wounds to Bjornings with Brawl gear, so that was
fun. But yeah, no, so I'll be interested. I think there's quite a balance for actually across all the scenarios.
I'm
happy with the initial. But it will differ quite a lot which armies it favours depending if you're rolling To the Death or Lords or say Assassination or Contest. Is half really focus on heroes and the ability to kill heroes, and the other half is more armies and killing armies kind of sort of thing. Yeah.
So, okay, we'll leave it there for Pool 2, and we shall move on to the first scenario of Pool 3, which is Heirlooms of Ages Past, which there's been lots of discourse about online with the changes to this one, it was not the community's most favoured scenario in the last edition. So the main thing they've changed is the deployment for the actual markers themselves. So they're deployed in a hexagon now, so sort of roughly
the
near
weirdest
the centre
deployment.
of the board. There's a hexagon going on. It's the first hexagon deployment sort of picture we've ever seen in SBG, so it's interesting for sure. So essentially what you have to do now, so you have to label the 6 markers, and one of them will have something underneath that says that this is the heirloom. So that is kind of the ambiguous sort of bit, which we will come on to. But in terms of the rest of the information for the scenario, so the game ends at 25%. There's 8 VPs for holding the heirloom, 1 VP for each decoy objective marker that's uncovered that you have. It's more models within 3 of, I think, right? Like if you have more models around it, I think that's how it works.
No, so it's if you have passed your intelligence test to try and uncover the marker.
So you've tried to uncover it. Oh, it's a VP for that. Oh, yeah. I think there's another. Is there another rule or something that says that? I thought there was more VPs for if like the uncover. Oh, maybe I read it wrong. I thought it was.
You may be thinking one of the other scenarios.
Oh, maybe it is a different one. I read lots of scenarios earlier. So it's 1 and 3 for Break Unbroken, 1 and 2 for Leader, Wound and Kill, and then 1 and 2 for Banner as well. So this isn't the 4 VP swing, it's the 2. So what do you think? And then the special rules as well. So this is Maelstrom and then Heirloom of Power, but that's obviously just related to picking up the heirlooms, but there's the roll of a 1 for a transfix. So I guess we should kick things off. So what do you think about the whole marking the markers thing?
I like it. In terms of its practicality, it'll be interesting. It does actually make a side note in the scenario itself going, if you're at a tournament, it advises you to get the table next to you to deploy your markers, and you deploy theirs. Yeah. So it gives you advice on that, so no one accidentally knows which one is the
But is there a way that
marker.
You could know if... so whose markers are we using, Ali? We're playing a game.
In honesty, if you're doing this, I would use your table next to you's markers. So
what if it is me and you are playing 2 other people, and then we are on tables next to each other, and I go, Ali, Gollum's gamer friend, can I use your markers?
And I go, no.
Yeah, but
because we're honest individuals.
Yes, but you see the picture I'm painting.
That is the sort of thing. It will be interesting as well, because it's extra gear and equipment you need.
Is this the only way they could fix heirlooms by, I don't know... Oh, I've marked my markers in a unique way that only I can see.
I think this is the best way to do it. Like in terms of if you can deploy the markers perfectly.
Should have just scrapped the whole bloody scenario altogether. But here we are.
but yeah, no, it's so as a scenario, it's fine. It is interesting in its deployment kind of aspect now
Interesting, he
because of
says.
that. But yeah, no, there's opportunities for those so inclined to maybe try and game it. However,
Try and game it. Yes, to put it
however,
lightly.
it is also worth noting that actually knowing which one is the heirloom isn't, because of where they're all very central now in the hexagon deployment, and you're getting points for each decoy. There's quite a lot
Sure,
of other
there
points
isn't
on the
going to be
table.
1 6 inches from a board edge that you deploy on, but it would obviously still be a huge advantage if anyone was going to do something like that. So and is there a way they could have done it without having that in there? I would have preferred to have seen something like that.
I mean, you could have kept the sort of old system in place, but maybe done the +1 for each one that's been uncovered. So it's like the first time you attempt it's a 6+, it'll be, then the second it'll be 5+. Yeah, it'd be interesting. But generally it has gotten better though as a scenario.
Yeah, it's they're not all going to be right next. A big problem was getting like screened off, I guess, from like certain ones.
But because everyone is running towards the middle now,
it's so kinda, that is sort of yes.
It's not just I've picked it up in the corner and now I'll turn one and I'll defend.
Yes. It's interesting. So, Heirlooms. Okay, we shall move on to the next scenario in this pool, the Sites of Power. Another new scenario here. So, the deployment for this one. So, there are 4 objectives kind of in the corners of each board, but like sort of the center of each quarter. So, like if you cut it into quarters, in the corners, it's like on the edge of the corner, so like a square, sort of.
I feel like you said corner 27 times.
I was trying to describe a picture, and it was
so it's basically the 4 objectives are located in the center of each board quarter. Does that make sense?
I think I read it as the center of each corner, but it's not the center of each corner. It's the center of the quarter. Sure, fine. So the VPs, so it is either 1, 2, or 3 VPs for more, twice as many, or no enemies within 3 inches of each objective. It's 1 and 3 for break unbroken, 1 and 3 for leader, 1 and 2 for wound or kill on the highest value non-leader model, as we've seen previously. Specials for this one, we have the Dark of Night again, so the +1 to movement shooting and all that sort of thing. And then there's another special rule here, so which is called Strange Aura. So at the beginning of the priority phase of each turn, roll a d6 and consult the table below to determine each effect for the Sites of Power has around them until the end of the turn. So on a 1 to 2, it is
6+ fate save, essentially.
6-up fury save, yes, thank you. On a 3 to 4, you are fearless, and on a 5 or 6, you re-roll 1s to wound. So
I know we say 5 or 6 re-rolls, 1 to wound, but I couldn't quite tell. But zooming on that picture, it almost looks like they've got a typo and they put 4 to 6.
Oh my god, that says 4 to 6.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it should be 5 to 6.
Oh my god, that's a typo.
Because otherwise, if you roll a 4, you get fearless and reroll
you get both.
To wound.
Oh my god, so 50% of the time you are getting both.
No, it's only on the dice roll of a 4.
No, only on a 4. Yeah, sure. Wow. Okay, I had just put that.
I'm convinced that will be immediately errated, and it will say 5 to 6.
That's so funny. I love it. So I really like the idea of this. I wish they had gone a bit more balls in on the bonuses.
Yeah.
Give me heroes gaining +1 to wound. Give me something a bit more meaty. Re-rolling ones, I don't give a shit about. They should have kept special strikes in the game, and then I could do that anyway when I wanted to. Instead, they've had to bake it into a scenario. Not a fan of that. Fearless is it's really good, fine. The 6-up save, I mean, okay, like sure, in a final crucial turn you get a 6-up save, that could be game changing. How often does that happen for the Berserker players out there? Like it's not really. So I just something with a bit more meat to actually make it a bit more of a this is happening rather than like a. To probably not going to happen, sort of thing.
I would say this is a slightly inferior scenario called Sites of Power to the one that Luke Hilda wrote.
Yes, yes. They should have stole another scenario from City of Kings 2025.
It does feel like it was kind of they knew they're looking for something, but they didn't go balls to the wall on the strange aura effects.
They didn't go the Luke Hilda.
Which, for reference, for people who don't know, that was essentially when it's sort of an army was broken, you had to take a courage test, or you had to run away basically from the objective.
Yeah. Well, they've tried to. Well, so this is kind of different because they've tried to make them sites of power that like buff you.
They're
where the
buffing
sites
instead.
Of fell power was making things hard for you. So, yeah.
I still think they could have done more with it, which I think they know they could have, which is why they chucked in the Dark of Night special into this one. Yeah. So we have another
why not just
Dark of Night.
Yeah, but they've made this, they've put this lovely table together. Like, they've made this new special rule, but then they've just made the effects of it so mid and not very game-changing. So
I think I preferred the fell power sites that Luke did, because I think you 100%. Running away was a more interesting end game.
Yeah.
Like conundrum.
And there was also one in the middle, I believe, in that scenario as well.
Yeah, which isn't even here nor there, to be honest.
Yeah, but I think that was good. So, but this is Maelstrom. But yeah, the Darker Night feels like it's kind of just tacked on. This one a little bit.
It definitely just feels like it's an objective pool scenario that we've given Maelstrom deployment, essentially.
Yeah, true. Oh yeah, this is Maelstrom, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not sure how it really plays in here too much, but okay. That shall do it for the Sites of Power. We shall move on to Command the Battlefield. So I'm pretty sure most things here are unchanged. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is exactly the same, with the slight increase of you now get, so it's 25% endgame, 1, 2, 3 for more models, twice as many, no enemy models within each board quarter. You still have the 12-inch dead zone from the center, and then 1 free break and 1 free leader, which I think both were 1 each before, maybe 2.
Yeah,
can't quite remember. And then you get 2 for 25%ing your opponent, which is a new addition. Bit like you get into the death. I feel like that was them going, we need to give 2 VPs for something else.
See, I would rather they added that onto every single scenario.
I think it would be better to do that as well, because it also encourages more people to end the game at 25%.
Sure, and to try and kill your opponent. That's meant to be a very big part of the game, instead of I'm going to castle up with my banner, you fuck. And anyway, sorry.
They're angry. But Command Battlefield largely the same.
Is the same. I like Command Battlefield. So
largely I'm still fine, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't change this too much. I think this is a solid scenario. So so that will round out the Maelstrom pool, which has the whole ground in it as well. So another scenario that's had banner VPs added in this edition. Wow.
So on the Maelstrom overall, I think it's the weakest pool we've looked at so far in terms of the scenarios. It's not like it's terrible, but and it's not actually because they're Maelstrom deployment. I just think like Sites of Power could have had a bit more going for it. Heirlooms has got the issue of it's a bit complicated in terms of like deploying the objectives.
I don't think it's that bad, to be fair. Like, I think Sites, although it's not like they could have done more with it, I do still like the whole premise. Fine. Yeah,
that's what I mean. All the scenarios are fine. They're just
I've always
there aren't any standout ones going. I want to play that event.
Not. Yeah, true. I guess. Yeah, and Heirlooms just kind of drags the whole thing down, I guess, a little bit. So, okay, we shall move on to the object scenarios next. So first of all, we have Retrieval, which has finally seen some changes here, which we love to see. So it's the same sort of cursed, horrendous Retrieval deployment where you're fucking measuring across your board and then you're setting markers within 6 either side on the. So it's still very shit, but they have changed the heirloom, the relics that you are trying to retrieve are now 20 inches from the corner as opposed to 15. So you start a little bit closer. It's another turn of movement, which is really, really good, I think. It's still a random game end. It is 3, 6, 9, and 12 VPs for if you've moved the relic from its starting location, if you're holding it, if it's in your board triangle in your deployment zone, or if it came off of one of your board edges. It's 1 and 3 for break or broken, 1 and 2 for lead or wound and kill, 1 VP for each hero killed up to a maximum of 3. So they've sort of, because there's this in some other scenarios where they've made it for up to a maximum of 2 or to a maximum of 4, so they have tried to sort of balance that, I guess, in a way, in certain scenarios. And then finally, your relic must be returned by a friendly model to its starting position as fast as possible if moved. Was that the same as it was? That's the same as it was previously?
I think it was. It may have been slightly reworded, so the implications of its application may have changed a bit. But
yeah, sure. Yes,
so yeah, it's still the same idea.
Yeah, so it's essentially the same, but they've tried to make it a bit more about actually going for the relic, and also if you're trying to, because it had the whole sort of standoff, who outshoots the other, then they're going to castle up on their relic. Well, now they're doing that closer to where your opponent starts anyway, so you're maybe not taking as much shooting.
I don't think this has changed that much, other than the objectives moved closer.
But I think that changes a little bit, sort of about...
I don't think it would be as dramatic, but I still think a lot of these games are probably gonna, if you're limited on time, will probably still be decided by break and leader. Or with the addition now of killing maybe enemy hero models.
Yeah, but then if you do have also a bit more of like a, where you are having a skirmish in the middle or whatever, where there's now more play for models to actually reach the objective. If it plays that in a more natural way. Then... Equally,
you could say because it's closer to the battle lines, it's easier to protect as well with the majority of your army.
Yeah, sure. If it does still happen where you have people, castling up, but just I think there's more play.
Potentially.
There's a potential for more play.
I don't think it's going to have changed dramatically.
I don't think it will change it dramatically, no.
And it's still got the curse deployment, which is a massive faff. So yeah, it's still not my favourite.
When you turn up, you shake your opponent's hand and it's, oh, here we go again, retrieval deployment. It's fun in its own way. So I think that's about it. Nothing else to touch on for this? No? Okay, so we shall move on next to Seize the Prizes. Is this City of Kings 2023? God, we're going through all the years
to be
now.
fair, I will give credit to this one to Scouring of Stirling. Sure. So Dave Reed and Chris Murphy, because they've had Seize the Prizes for donkey's years.
I didn't know. Sorry to the Scottish folk. Shout out Dave Reed. So, Seize the Prizes. So, it is 12-inch deployment, same as it was before, but there are now 3 prizes along the sort of halfway point of the board, and they're all sort of the same value. It's not like how it was at City of Kings, where the middle one was worth more and the 2 on the sides were worth less. They're all worth the same.
I like how we keep on referencing City of Kings, like all of our viewers went to that one tournament.
They've all watched our previews, Ali. That is the only tournament that we have done 3 previews on now, because we have... Wait, is it 3? Yeah, I think so. 2023, 24, and 25, I think. Yes. So the game ends once all the prizes are off the board, or both forces are to 25% of their starting models. It's 2, 3, and 4 VPs for if you hold the prize in your half, in your opponent's half.
Is your opponent hard earlier?
In your opponent's hard. I hope not. In your opponent's half, or if you manage to get them off of the board edge, as ultimately that is what you are trying to do. So there's VPs for if you hold it in their half. If the prizes are not being carried, you get 1 VP if there is more models within 3 inches. And again, it's 1 and 3 for leader, 1 and 3 for break, and 1 and 2 for the dreaded banner. So what do you think on this? The Seize the Prizes finally making its way.
I mean, it's basically the fix everyone wanted. Yeah, it now works. You're not going to just have one go out here, pick it up and fly off.
Oh, I'll take that. I'm gone.
It does
Yeah.
have to be an infantry model as well, still, which I think is just worth pointing out. So yeah, no, and obviously it's an intelligence test. So
Indeed.
who you're getting to pick it up is more relevant now.
Yep.
So intelligence has purpose.
It does.
But yeah,
In
other than that,
2025.
there's weirdly not actually loads to say about it.
Hasn't like, yeah, we've sort of played it before, and like, it sort of just made the big issue with it a lot better. So
I suppose the other key thing to point out is it is still both forces are down to 25% for the game to end, or all the prizes off the board, as opposed to the usual just one army down to 25%, which I know was a common overlooked part of the scenario for new and experienced players alike. Yeah,
that's about it. Okay, so we'll move on to another new scenario, Treasure Horde. Very interesting one here. So the deployment for this one is sort of cursed, but I sort of like it. So you have 6 artifacts which are deployed sort of in a thin rectangle in like the middle of the board.
Shall I describe it in the way that I wrote it down in my notes?
Did I explain that wrong?
So okay. I know, you kind of do it right, but it's 3 for each board edge that are deployed 18 inches from the board edge, equidistant from each other. So
Jesus
basically
Christ,
equally
that's a word.
apart. Yeah, I know. I knew you weren't going to use the word because when I sent it to you in the notes.
Well, no, it was where you said 3 for each board edge. Well, I'm like, well, they're not on the board edge. So
no, but 18 inches from each board edge.
Yeah, but you said 3 for each board edge. And
I know,
like, well, the objectives
that's
aren't on the board edge, so
it's basically
he's throwing me off.
If you see it as each player has 3 that they're deploying 18 inches from their board edge, and they're deployed equally apart. But yeah, it's a lot easier to understand when you look at the picture. That's the main thing I'll say about this one.
That's what I was trying to describe it. A thin rectangle, I think. Hit the nail on the head there.
But yeah,
moving on. Go on.
Yeah, and then you've got a 12-inch deployment bubble in the center of the board edge, not the corner, not 24 inches on, not 12 inches on.
No,
this is one of the deployments that Elliot missed out on his trying to group them into 3 or 4 different types.
This sits in 12-inch deployment. I see a 12. That's 12-inch deployment.
Okay.
Will not be told otherwise.
25% end game. So you get 2 VPs for each artifact you are in possession of. So this is another pickup kind of one. 1 free for break, 1 free for leader, 1/2 for having models within 12 inches of your opponent's board edge, or 2 if you've got 3 or more models within 12 inches of your opponent's board edge.
Now,
so it's
I
like
found that interesting
light.
But where they said that, like within the opponent's board edge, but like
not their 12-inch deployment
not
bubble.
The 12-inch. I think that's weird. Surely it should be within the deployment bubble. I don't know. I don't know. Made that thing, and then they've steered away from that. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this was another one which is like, we need a reason to give an extra 2 VPs. Let's do this one.
On board edge. That's so. It's like at least the bubble they could say is like your enemy's deployment zone. Like that's that's important.
Like you're trying to steal some treasure back or something like that.
I guess. The bank.
I mean, it's fine as a mechanic for the scenario. It just seems a bit weird in how they've done it with board edge.
I wonder how much the whole 20 VP thing is really. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, worth mentioning, this is another uncovering relics, as would make sense in this pool. So it is intelligence tests to pick those up.
Indeed. So yeah, I like this one. It's another sort of like theme of it, and then there's also just the 6 objectives. You start in the bubble, which I like, so you can sort of see whether your opponent actually stays in a curved line or whether it gets gradually straighter, and then you're like, oh, how have they come around like that?
You know what I call this one? Capture the supplies as opposed to destroy the supplies.
Yes, but they're moved ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Wait, are they moved? Yeah, they're moved 6 inches ahead.
Yeah.
The treasure. So I like this one. I don't think there's anything too stand out about it.
It's a little bit. It's different enough as well because of the deployment and sort of.
Yes, that is a nice sort of change. I think we haven't had a scenario like that with a little bubble, really. So, I guess Storm the Camp kind of. But okay. We shall move on. Speaking of Storm the Camp, lovely segue there.
Are we not going to sum up that pool?
Oh,
because that's the end of the object pool.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
The object pool. So joining Retrieval sees the prize is, and Treasure Hoard is destroy the supplies. There's some supplies in this pool alley, in the object pool.
Hope so.
What do you think?
Yes. I think it's a pretty solid pool. Retrieval for me is by far the one I would not want to play.
I've always kind of liked Retrieval though, from the sake of how it could be played. I know it doesn't pan out like that, but I think, and I've said this before in a previous pod, that the whole idea of like a capture the flag-esque scenario isn't something that really exists. That's what Retrieval is trying to be, but it just doesn't play out well. So I like the idea of it. I
think there's a better capture the flag scenarios coming up in one of the other pools.
And I've forgotten which new scenario that is, but fine, we shall come on to that. But I like Retrieval and how it is. So, there is. There is.
Yeah. But Retrieval's, I think, by far the weakest out of the four. And then Destroy Seas and Treasure Hoard is quite good. Yeah. Treasure Hoard, I'm quite looking forward to playing.
The changes to seize the prizes is good. So, okay, we shall leave it there. And we shall move on to the maneuvering scenario, Storm the Camp. So the main change here is that now we have the 18-inch campsite, your army's camp, and also for the deployment as well. So this also ends at 25%, as it did before. Your whole army deploys in the camp, your opponent does, the same as before. It is 5, 7, and 10 VPs for capturing the camp, capturing it with a hero, which was not...
No,
it was previously, and then capturing it with a banner, which it was like that, or was it like that at City of Kings?
It was like that at City of Kings.
It was like that at City. I genuinely wasn't sure then. I was like, am I just thinking of that myself? But no, I thought I'd done that before.
Let's finish the VPs, and you get one VP for each model you have in an enemy camp up to a maximum of 5. So that's as even if you don't capture it. 1, 2 for break, 1 3 for leader. And then I can't remember if you mentioned, but you're fearless if you're start the turn within your camp.
And it's wholly within for capturing, the same as it was.
So they've really emphasised on capture the camp to win the game. It's definitely not going to be decided just on breaking and leader, and also the camps being bigger and therefore slightly closer together means it's easier to get to the enemy camp and get inside it. So I think they've fixed that part. It may still be a little bit slow because I still think 18 is quite a distance to come from.
It's still quite a long way.
It saved like a turn or two of movement.
I'd have maybe just gone 20, just like Retrieval did. I think that's all right.
I think they're probably trying to keep the balance between not having the camp ridiculously big and so it's still not perfect. But what is interesting with the capturing the camp is to get the extra points, so you capture with a hero in. So to capture, you just have more models in the enemy camp than they do. And then to get the 10 is capture with a banner, you don't actually need a hero. So it's not a hero and a banner. It is just a banner, which is interesting. Out of interest, are you counting this as one of your banner scenarios?
I'm not sure if I did. I did this last night. Are there banner VPs?
Well, not directly, but in theory, if you don't have a banner, your cap.
10 of 24 scenarios are banner VPs, folks.
But I don't think this one's
9.5.
Yeah, like this one actually, you can't maximize your VPs, but you're not necessarily at a disadvantage at the start of the game because you don't have a banner. So it kind of is.
No, I did not go that big brain last night at 12 o'clock at night thinking about so.
Yeah, but generally I like the changes. I still think it may struggle on time limit for some people.
Better than it was though, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's definitely better than it was. I always thought Storm the Camp was a fine scenario if you didn't have a time limit. They've slightly improved that and really encouraged you capturing the camp.
If just time is no object, then it's fine.
Yeah, and I think it's better than it was even with time now, and it really emphasizes capture the camp. So
Yeah, storm the camp. Come into a GBHL 100 near you. Hopefully not. We shall move on to divide and conquer. So basically everything about this is the same. The deployment is the same. Random game end still. The objectives are set up the same, with the one in the middle being worth more, and then the two on the side being worth less. So 3 and 6 for the center, 1 and 3 for the ones on the side, and then 1 and 3 for break, 1 and 3 for leader, and then 2 VPs for having your leader within 3 inches of the center objective, which is definitely new, which I like. I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that's a nice little addition of extra VPs. But yeah, it's pretty much exactly the same. So don't have much comments on it.
I don't think we need to spend much time on this
at all. It's a solid
scenario
before. Still, I
think it was
scenario.
Fine. Yeah. So, and there is another scenario coming up with a very similar deployment. So, we shall move on to a scenario we alluded to earlier. Escort the Wounded, which is one of the new scenarios in this pool. Rounding off this pool, yes. So this ends on 25%. It's 12-inch deployment, and within 12 inches of your opponent's board corners, which, looking at the picture, took me a little while to work out whose sanctuary was which, but it's your opponent's board corners, not your own. I would think that you are trying to bring your wounded people back.
It's a bit like seize the prize. You would kind of think you'd bring the prize back to your home, but because of game mechanics,
you need to get it past your opponent. So your sanctuaries, for some reason, are where your opponent deployed. But anyway, fine. So you need to take your objectives essentially to those sanctuaries on the other side of the board. So the 6 objectives are deployed like destroy the supplies. So the same exact 3 in a line. So you have to basically pick up yours and take them to the corners of the opposite board edge. And they are heavy objects, which is very, very interesting. So the VP, so it's 2 and 4 VPs for each wounded marker is carried into the sanctuary. It's 1 and 3 for break, 1 and 3 for leader. Banners, so it's 2 if your opponent has no banners. And then, yes, so heavy objects for the markers. So it's just very interesting because at the start of the game, everyone's going to turn 1 go, oh, let's pick up these. Yeah, let's just pick up all our wounded. Like it's, I like it though. I think it's cool.
Yeah, no, I think the heavy objects makes it unique, and actually you having to.
I do
it's
like
almost
that it's not
like
light objects.
I mean, this is one which I say is kind of a bit like capture the flag because you're trying to get your flag or your wounded into the enemy, basically into the sort of safe zones. Yeah. Heavy object makes it quite interesting, and actually the fact that you're uniquely for a object scenario, you're in possession of your objects from the start of the game.
Yes.
You're not going and retrieving
that
them.
is very unique.
Which I think is important with it being a heavy object in one sense, because I think the game would be too long if you had to go grab.
Yeah, and then bring them back. For sure. Like that.
So yeah, it would be.
Can you pick up a heavy object and then immediately move with it, or do you?
Yeah.
I didn't know if that's the. Yes. Yeah, because I thought
you can only move object once per turn. Is usually the rule.
But you can deploy on it, pick it up, and then still move that turn. Yeah, because otherwise I thought that'd be a bit weird. And it's still the same as it was previously, where it's 2 models to pick it up and move it, and then 1 is half speed. So it's still the same.
Okay. So you may find people looking at what models are burly and stuff, because this is the only scenario which has heavy objects in it. I don't think you're going to build a list of that, but it's worth remembering.
I like that they've just added 1 in. With heavy objects. It's cool.
It's worth remembering if you have like Dwalin or something like that, he'll probably be quite good at this scenario.
Yeah, because there was no, the heavy objects were a thing, but like they just were not used in match play. But yeah, we've got to have a scenario that uses them now. I like it. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's a unique new scenario, which
there's nothing like this previously.
Yeah. Once you've already got another 23 scenarios, it's hard to keep coming up with unique new ones.
Yeah, but they have here. I'm a fan. So this is probably the best, I would say, of the new scenarios, I think, so far that we've seen in this video.
To be fair, I like all the new scenarios generally.
I just think this is the most unique. They've come up with a new thing here. So far. So this one closes out the maneuvering pool, which so it was storm the camp, Divide and Conquer, Escort the Wounded, along with Recon from the original 6. So
Yeah,
thoughts on this pool?
I think it's a really solid pool.
Recon's
It's
obviously
one of the
good.
more interesting pools as well. So yeah, I'd give it
I
like
mean,
a
but
thumbs
it's
up
got Storm the
generally.
Camp though, which really drags it down.
I don't think Storm the Camp's that bad.
I think it's worse than Retrieval. I'm putting it out there.
I don't. Retrieval's worse than Storm the Camp.
Boo. Okay, maybe in practicality, but
At least Storm the Camp again has a unique quality to it.
Ali King loves Storm the Camp, folks. Well, I guess it is unique, but Retrieval. I like Retrieval anyway.
Hey, it's 18-inch deployment. It's halfway through between like your
12
and your 24.
For sure. Okay, so we shall move on to the final pool, the unique pool, which we shall kick things off with Clash by Moonlight. So it is 25% end, same as it was before. It is 12-inch deployment. Was this 24 before? No, it wasn't. It was 12. Yeah, it was 12. So there is one central objective. Is that something that they've just sprinkled in there? We shall discuss. Yes. So it is 1 and 4 VPs for Break Unbroken, 1 and 4 for Leader, Wound and Kill, 2 if your opponent has no banners, so another banner scenario here, 1 or 2 for having a banner at the end, so this is the 4 VP swing one here. Killing a hero is 1 VP up to a maximum of 4, so this is where they've sort of tried to balance it with it not being 2. So Clash was always kind of about killing heroes, so that has held true. And then it's 1 of 4 VPs for more models within 3 inches, or twice as many within 3 of the center objective. Sorry, I thought it was if there's no enemy models, you get 4. Or have I got that wrong?
I'm pretty sure on this one it is twice.
Is it twice? Each. Yeah, or if you are the only player to have models within 3 inches of the objective, then you score 4.
Okay, yep.
So fine. So there's an objective in the middle that they've gone, ha! You think you're just going to sit back there and win the game by shooting? There's an objective in the middle. Interesting.
Yeah. Overall, this scenario is a bit of the everything scenario now. It's like
you've got hero killing, you've got
objective capturing,
banners,
breaking, you've got leader. They're all worth quite a lot.
This is the unique pool. Maybe it's not unique if it has bits of every other scenario in.
It's unique in having everything.
I'm not sure that's a thing.
But it is like, and the fact that everything is basically worth 4 VP. So actually, breaking's gone down in value. Because it used to be 5.
This was more. It was 5. Yeah.
Yeah, but so it's like break is 4, leader is 4, the banners potentially is 4, killing heroes is 4, and then catching the objective in the middle is 4, and then you all do it at night fight. So.
Yes, it's the night fighting.
I mean, it's. I think this has probably gotten better, but because there's so much going on without playing it, I can actually tell you.
Yeah.
Obviously, killing heroes is a bit more of a focus but not massively. It's more like the tiebreaker to decide who wins.
The fact that it's 1 and 4. I mean, why don't they just take away some of those pesky banner VPs and make it 2 and 4 for the leader and the break? You know, just putting it out there. You know, 1 and 4 is quite a
but that is a big
swing,
like compared to what we're used to.
Yes, so
but it is different though. So, like, you have to. You're probably going into this game have to decide. I am going to achieve this objective and that objective, and make sure I get the 8 to 12 VPs on those, and maybe you don't worry about one of the others. But yeah, no, I like it. I think it's
a central objective.
Yeah.
Good change.
It's a lot going on in this scenario. It's a bit like Fog of War in that sense, in that you've got lots of things to keep track
lots of different conditions. Yeah. So okay, we shall move on from Clash by Moonlight, and we shall go to our final 2 new scenarios here. I like that they left it till scenario 23 and 24 on the final double spread. You get 2 of the new scenarios. That's just a little Easter egg there from GW, I must say. I like it. First of all, we have lead from the front. So this is 12-inch deployment. There are 3 central objectives. So just like in Divide and Conquer, you have 1 in the middle and then 2 either side. This is a 25% end, and this is all about trying to get your heroes onto the objective. So it's 2 VPs for having a hero model within 3 inches of an objective that is of a higher heroic tier than any of your opponent's heroes. So if it's tied, no one gets the VPs? Is that right?
I guess not. That seems to be the implication.
I think that's the way it is. Yeah, it's if you have a hero of legend and your enemy only has a hero of valor and under, you will get the VPs, and they won't. But if you both have hero of legend, no one gets it. 4 VPs if a friendly hero model is within 3 inches, but there's no enemy hero. So if you're the only one with a hero, you get 4. It's 1 and 3 for break, 1 and 3 for leader. 2 if your opponent has no banners, which we hate to see. There's been a theme of this podcast, I must say. And this one has a time for a time of heroes, which is the one where you regain a point of might. If you kill an enemy hero, you choose which hero in the same fight to give the point of might to. So they've gone, rather than having a scenario where you need to have enemy or friendly models within range of objectives, they've gone, why don't we make that a little bit more granular? Let's just say heroes. And here we have lead from the front, which is named well, as it makes sense, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know. I'm not sure it's the most creative scenario.
This one really needs to see how it plays out on the table. I think almost more than any of the others, to be able to give it a fair shake. Because it's like they're going. In my head, I'm like, well, the higher tier does better, so you could say it favors more elite armies who maybe have more heroes of valor. But then again, because you've got the 3 objectives, you essentially almost need 3 heroes in a list. So you're at low points, maybe it's not a great scenario, or if you're just doing your eagles or stuff like that, where you don't have the heroes, you could be at quite a sizable disadvantage, especially because there's no banners in this one, specifically thinking of the eagles. But suddenly models like dwarf kings or kings of men or something, all their hero of valor, they're fairly cheap. That's actually quite a good thing to put on here, whereas maybe a lot of your named heroes are only heroes of fortitude suddenly find themselves at a bit of a disadvantage. So
I guess I sort of don't understand with this one why, because you're not going to sit back in this scenario and shoot. Because if your opponent gets over those objectives, then it's going to be very hard to work, back from it. So then why not just give us a 24-inch deployment scenario?
Because you got the whole tactics of where you're sending the heroes. Because if you see Aragon going for that one,
I get it.
You've then got a decision to make.
That still applies if it was 24. I don't know. I'm not sure why this is 12-inch if everyone is just going to move up to the objectives anyway.
That wasn't the hang-up I was expecting you to have today.
Do you see what I mean, though? Do you see what I'm saying?
I'm seeing it from a different point of view, though. I think 24 inches would take away the tactical part of the move in this. You're kind of already committed, and therefore...
I understand that is there. I just think there's some situations where they could have, just added that in. I think it'd have been fine in this scenario. Put it that way.
No.
I think everybody's going to walk up to the objectives, and then they're going to fight.
But it's how you're going to walk up, which is important.
Well, I don't think it changes that much, personally.
It will do, but it's okay.
We'll table this conversation for another day. Anything else on lead from the front, Ali, before we move on?
No, it's just a hero-focused objective scenario, basically, which we haven't had before. So
you haven't had?
It is unique.
Indeed, which is why it's in this pool. See, that's actually a unique thing, which is why it's in this pool. It's not Clash by Moonlight 2.0. We shall move on to the final new scenario from this pool, Convergence, which has some interesting deployment that we have seen previously today, which is divide and conquer, but it's more, the objective deployment that is sort of interesting. So it's the diamond shape, I guess, from capture and control, but there's not the central objective. So you've got that going on with the objectives, but then you've got the deployment in the corners. So it's a very interesting layout for this scenario, I must say. So this is a random game end, and it's a 1 and 3 for holding an objective within 6 inches of the center of the board. 2 VPs for more models within 6 inches of the center of the board. So this is sort of like whole ground as well, which is interesting. 1 and 3 for break and broken, 1 and 3 for leader, and then this has the heirlooms of power. So you may be transfixed on the roll of a 1 as you're trying to, I guess, run it to the middle or something like that. So thoughts on this one? Convergence.
So, again, it's quite similar to one that Luke Hilder wrote for City of Kings this year, just gone.
Wait, which one was this? Sorry.
It's the one where you basically have to pick up objectives. So it was his version of heirlooms, and then run to the middle with those objectives.
Oh yes, he did. Yes, where you had to run to the middle. Yes.
One important thing to note is, unlike, say, Divide and Conquer, where you're deploying in opposite board corners, your board corners are on the same board edge.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I thought it was opposite still.
No, so it's not opposite. So you're converging
it's the same
together.
Side of the board.
Which is
gotcha.
So it is a unique deployment in that sense, which will be interesting. I quite like it.
I like that better, I'm not going to lie, because I thought it was another one of the war bands getting fucked or something, but now you're a bit more...
Yeah, you're converging rather than dividing.
You're not dividing and conquering, you are converging in your own board half.
I'll be interested to see how much difference that makes, because I think it may not make a huge amount of difference.
Well, I think it does. Obviously, like in
it would
Divide,
be more how your board terrain is laid out would be the difference it makes, because of what it's fortunate. But if you've got open space, you'll probably just meet and both armies will do that. You've just deployed essentially 2 turns later. 12.
But it's interesting because you have one objective basically in the middle of where your 2 halves might converge, but then you have 2 objectives sort of on the center line on the 24-inch between your opponent's other warbands, where you could both get to that at the same time. So it's like, do you go for that, or do you prioritize meeting up with your other half? I mean, I think you sort of have to go for it, because otherwise, if they get those 2 plus their home 1, then they've got.
I think picking up the objectives early will be.
You sort of have to go
an
for
advantage,
that
and then you can defend. The good thing is, because you've got to go to the middle, and you're not able to just run away with them.
Yeah, with them. If you get there first,
the game will always be active, essentially. But no, so it seems pretty solid to me.
I like this one again.
Yeah.
So that rounds up the unique pool. So Clash by Moonlight, Lead from the Front, and Convergence are joined by Fog of War, a very unique scenario. So Assassination getting the bin from the unique scenario pool in this edition. What do you think?
Yeah, no, to be fair, they're all very interesting. It is one of those ones where I think I've said for all 3 of these, I'll have to play them and see, which makes sense if they're unique. Because it's like they're not as obvious.
It's an interesting pool, isn't it? It's like, these are the scenarios that are just like a bit fucked, so let's just put them all in one little category and just these are the odd ones. Have fun, you know.
So I tell you what, I would really be interested in, like, is if a tournament just did 6 games, or like just did 4 games from all the unique pool, like a one day.
Yeah, only the unique ones. You could do some list tailoring there for sure. Any more comments on this pool? No?
No.
I think that's it. Okay, so those are the new 18 scenarios coming. Well, I say new. The ones that aren't currently in the game at the moment. So we've got 6 brand new ones, plus some changes for the previous ones. Any closing comments? I'm very positive, I must say, and excited to play the new scenarios for sure.
I'm way more pleased with how nearly all these scenarios came out than I thought I was going to be. Enough of them have unique stuff going about them to differentiate. Whereas I felt that adding an extra 6, they were going to be a lot more samey. Whereas,
and there are some samey elements to some of them, but then like a couple of them are really quite unique, and we don't have anything like that. So I think overall, what B plus, A minus. I'm pretty happy.
I'll be interested to see, and it's going to be hard to tell until we start playing, whether the pool distribution of the scenarios will favour a certain army build style, and also whether tournaments will just go, cool, I'm just going to pick 6 rather than have the random element
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
like
obviously we
one
would
from each
have
pool.
tournaments do that at times. So and it's just obviously interesting that at a time where we're having all the scenarios added in, we're also having all the armies. So it's going to be a very experimental sort of
Yeah.
phase.
There
For the
is
tournament
lots
to
of
be.
objectives to give Army 4 hope that they're not so bad.
He's channeling his inner Ben Haslam, who has not returned to the podcast for some time because he's waiting for his
Yeah.
Thrall to be FAQs.
Hey, I was Thrall before
Back
Ben
to his
was. I've got
former
2 armies
glory.
of Thralls I built
No,
and
but you're
painted.
Khazad-dûm now, so you
I'm all
don't really
dwarves
count.
basically now.
You're back to your Khazad-dûm roots, one might say. So, okay. I think that's going to close us out. So, match play guide, very positive. Hopefully, we'll have some bat reps with the new scenarios at some point in the near future, hopefully. And I'm sure we'll be discussing them at length in all of our event previews and all that sort of thing. So, very good stuff. But I think it's going to close us out. So, thank you very much, everyone, for watching another not emergency podcast, another episode of the podcast from the Gollum's Gamers.